Hello all, David Snedeker here. I'm recording this in my backyard. You can see the beautiful little waterfall that we have in our backyard. Only when it rains here in Southern California. 2 years ago, this waterfall was gushing because of all the rains we had. Last year we had a few moments, but very little trickle. And now we've got a beautiful little waterfall that flows down kind of under the front of our house and under the deck, and down to the culvert, down through the next culvert, and across the road, all the way down from Topanga, all the way down to the ocean eventually. Unfortunately, this is water that's not captured. I want to get a rain barrel and capture more water, but unbelievably around the country, they're actually penalizing people for capturing rainwater. Oregon, I know, is one case. And in actuality, wells are being banned in many places, but we should be able to build wells here so that when it rains, we capture our own water, and then we don't have to rely on municipalities or the Colorado River or Northern California Shasta area for water here in Southern California. So it's kind of crazy. They actually, Water and Power paid the owner of this property to go off the well years ago. He regrets that decision, but that was a situation where he was tapped into a well here, and then they closed it up. So it's really about making us dependent on the government for water, for electricity, for energy in general, and not allowing us to become self-sustaining, and that's something that we really need to be doing. I took my daughter to school this morning. It was raining, it was messy, it was cold. When I say cold, of course I'm talking about 40 degrees here in Southern California, which is frigid. And I'm sorry to all my friends that are in the Midwest and East Coast and North that are a little bit chillier than that. But what I was able to do was take her to school and get some logs and start a fire in the fireplace there at school, and in her classroom, which was wonderful because it's rainy and cold, and they've got a nice fire burning as they learn their main lesson. So I'm going to also talk to you about a little bit about the fires here in Southern California and Northern California. I don't want to get all conspiracy crazy on here because I don't want to lose you, but I just want to say this, that when things happen that happen in Paradise and Malibu here and parts of the valley, terrible fires. We had two friends that lost their homes to these fires. Similarly, the fire in Santa Rosa last year that had friends evacuated. These fires, it's wonderful the support we give our firefighters and the work that they do, but unfortunately we're losing them, as we see in the 9/11 first responders that are now dealing with cancer, and many have dealt with cancer and have died since that day. We're going to see that here with these fires as well, with many of the firefighters that are going into these places and breathing toxic air. Especially in the case of the valley here, there's a nuclear test facility not far away that burned, and all we hear from authorities are that it's not a problem. All right, that the air that is being off-gassed there because of the fires are not a problem. Well, yeah, our government doesn't have a lot of credibility when it makes statements like that, especially when true investigation and true testing isn't really done. And if it is done, it's being done and being held under the guise of a I'm going to shift hands here, under the guise of a non-disclosure agreement. And I know that there's one firm in particular, a gentleman in particular, that was testing the groundwater there that can't talk about what he found, and that was years ago. But at any rate, all these disasters that happen, we have a tendency to just, you know, listen to the media and have them tell us what went down and how it happened and how it occurred. and how it's being taken care of, and what's being released into the air and to human beings and the animals. All I ask is that we question those things. And I question those things, and when there are similarities that occur, for example, the guy in Northern California, the PG&E, who is tied to the Rothschilds, he's actually in the Rothschilds group and runs businesses for them. And we know the Rothschilds, we know their history, we know they're not to be trusted. Some of you don't know that, and if you don't know that, stay tuned and I'll tell you more about that and why, and the evidence behind that, from the banking cartels that they own, the world banks that they control, and how they create every dollar through debt. Every dollar that's created, whether it be here or around the world, is a debt instrument that we're on the hook for taking care of and paying. And for those governments that didn't have a central bank, they may seem familiar. They're Iran, they're Iraq, they're Syria, they're Libya. These were not central banks, but now they are, except Iran. But that's why we're having issues with Iran, because the wars are meant to install central banks in these countries. This is well documented, but not well reported. That's why we're losing the mainstream media. We're going beyond the mainstream media, and we're not trusting them anymore for the information that they provide. They are propaganda. They are controlled by 6 families, 95% of them in the United States alone. We cannot trust them, and we're seeing a shift away from those venues, those vehicles that they use to inform us and then control us, all in the same means. This is Joseph Goebbels, brought forward into the new century. It has not changed. They have used the work of Edward Bernays, who was Sigmund Freud's nephew, and who knew how to manipulate the masses. And he took his work to Madison Avenue, and he also took it to Washington, D.C. And what we're seeing with CNN, with MSNBC, with Fox, those are just opposite sides of the control mechanism, by the way, okay? And they're meant to divide us. And my question to you is, if you watch those stations, how do you vibrate after you watch them? Do they make you feel better about the world, or do they make you feel worse? Do they make you feel better about your neighbor and your friend, or do they make you feel worse? Have they divided us? And if so, which I know they have, how is that doing for us? How are we as a country? How are we as a world, fellow human beings that are at each other's throats? They can't have a civil discourse about the events of the world anymore because of the manipulation that's being caused by the media. So what we're seeing is thousands and millions of people that are leaving mainstream media. They're not even, they're shutting off their TV, or they're leaving their cable, because the cable is charging them $150, $160 a month for the channels that they just want to see, and so they can see their favorite football team or basketball team or baseball team or their favorite shows. But they're leaving all that. We're finding Netflix, and there are issues with Netflix I'll get to later, but we're finding things online, and we're buying the things we want to see, and we're not paying for the things we don't want to see. And so we're making a shift away from television in general, which is part of the propaganda machine, and this is all proven, this is all well documented through Operation Mockingbird, which is it's not a conspiracy theory. This is actually the case. This is actual documented proof that the CIA has paid Hollywood, has paid the news stations, the ABCs, NBCs, and CBSs of the world, the major newspapers. We're seeing the false news that they're producing, and we're seeing also the positive news, the real news that we're getting from citizen journalists. These are the people that I trust, the people that are doing a video from their backyard, or they're doing a video from their basement. And please don't discredit somebody just because they're doing a video from their basement. Discredit somebody who's putting on makeup, who's dressing in designer outfits, and has lights and cameras, multiple cameras, and multiple millions of dollars behind them, that read from a teleprompted script. Every time you see somebody looking into the camera, you need to understand that in front of that camera is a scroll of dialogue slipping by, telling them exactly what they are to say. That's why those videos that you've seen where these newscasters from around the United States are saying the exact same thing. That's because it's a script that has been written for them, and they've been told to read. Okay? The media, the news, is not your friend, and you can feel that when they tell you about the 5 murders that happened over the weekend and the 5 shootings and the terrible events that happened. And then they're going to sprinkle in a nice, sweet story at the end after the sports. It's all bad news. And it's all meant to manipulate and to control us. And if we understand that, we can step away from it and try out a new version of news. Try listening to people like myself, or people that are even much more researched than I am. I've been at this for 12 years. When I say 12 years, I'm talking about 4 PhDs in really researching what's happening in the world and why and who's doing it. This has been my mission. This has been my hobby. I don't watch much sports at all. I don't watch much television at all. We're not even connected to cable. We'll watch something on Netflix once in a while. We'll watch a movie once in a while. And then I'll try to catch some highlights of football games that I care about. That's about it. And if I'm with friends, obviously I'll watch a football game on a Sunday after we play football. But that's it. This is my passion. This is my mission, is to come to you and talk about things that really matter in this world. But at the same time, when we talk about the negative things, is to uplift you. I mean, look at this beautiful water flowing. This is an awesome thing. And you have your own little piece of awesomeness in your world. Your child, your friend, your mother, your father, your little nook in your home that you cozy up and read a book, or you cozy up and watch a movie, or with your loved one. Go to that place in your world and enjoy it, but understand too that there are things in this world that we need to talk about. So we're going to talk about them for a little bit, but then we're going to talk about the joy and the passion and the beauty of this world that is going to emerge even greater than ever before, after we deal with the things that are trying to keep us down, keep us dumb. This water, by the way, that's runoff. Certainly it would need to be filtered, because oil that's picking up, or trash that is picking up from the roads up above, or the areas up above. But this is pure water. Oh, by the way, it's also going to be taken up with the sky, right? Because it came out of the sky. So there's probably aluminum, strontium, and barium in that water that's been sprayed on us since the fires and the day of the fires. I've got video, I've got pictures from friends that have sent it in, and people that have sent it to me that show the chemtrails. There, by the way, chemtrails, don't lose me. Don't let me lose you, I should say. Here's what's happening. It's geoengineering. They were spraying the fires that happen in Paradise, the fires that happen here in Malibu, they were chemical fires. The reason why they're so hard to put out is because that's metal burning. It's these elements that are burning, aluminum, strontium, barium, that we've found in the soil from multiple streams of airlines, not even airlines, but flights that not just go from A to B, but circle and cross and crisscross. Look up in the sky. These are not clouds. These are chemtrails, chemical trails, geoengineering that happened during the fires, before the fires, during the fires, and after the fires. Man, they were spraying like crazy. That's why I think it's raining like this. That's why many people that are very intelligent on these subjects think that it's raining like it is right now, because of the spraying that's being done. Now, more on that later, and there's actual scientific evidence to show that I'm not just blowing smoke here. Get it? Blowing smoke? Huh? Yeah, okay. Well, listen, can't all be gems. But what I'm talking about here is real. I'm not making it up. And again, I'm talking to my friends here. I'm talking to people that I love and care about, new and old. And what I'm telling you is that what I've found is very, very important. It's very, very important to understand why they're keeping us down here, who's keeping us down here, so we can elevate above that and really, really get to the heart of the matter and find our true happiness that's not being thrown into wars, that we're not being thrown into wars and thrown into poverty and thrown into homelessness. This is a transformation that's happening on our planet right now. Be a part of that. The reason I'm doing this is because I want to be a part of that with you. And I want to talk about this with you. And I want to share about what's going on. Because what's happening right now, from a political standpoint and a justice standpoint, is that many of the people that we trusted to run our country, many of the people that we trusted to give us the news, the proper news, the real news, they're not going to be doing it for much longer, because they have committed crimes against humanity and treason against us as human beings in this country and around the world. Things are changing. Things are shifting. It's happening now as we speak. The people that are in power that have been doing atrocious things that we haven't been aware of are coming to justice. John McCain, Herbert Walker Bush, coming to justice. If you understood who these people really are, by the way, I voted for them. I followed them. I supported them. This was before I awoke to the things around me in a new way. This is when I turned off the television and stopped listening to the propaganda. And I started doing my own research, which goes far beyond turning on the TV for a half an hour at the end of the day, or picking up a newspaper and scanning the pages over coffee. What I do, and what others that I trust and I research with and follow do, is look behind the curtain. I'm asking you to look behind the curtain with me to see the true nature of these human beings and what they've been doing and why they're gone right now. I don't believe that they died of natural causes, even at their age and even with John McCain's glioblastoma. He stopped his treatment one day and the next day he was dead. Doesn't happen like that. I just lost a dear friend to it. And it takes some time. But when you've committed the crimes that these men have, you see Lindsey Graham, who's right in step with McCain in trashing President Trump. Why do you think he did a 180? As soon as McCain died, Lindsey Graham became President Trump's main supporter, and then had the conversation with Kavanaugh in chambers on live national television, and he asked them about treasonous acts against our country and how they will be tried and how they will be punished. They will be tried with military tribunals, and that's what we're going to see here very, very soon. The only thing that was delayed was the actual Clinton Foundation testimonies from Comey, Lynch, and John Huber. You're going to see that. You're going to see the Clinton Foundation break wide open. I've known for a very, very long time about the treasonous acts and the illegal acts of these people, and you're about to find them out if you haven't found out already. And I promise you, I'm not saying this so that you can, so nothing happens and you're going to say, hey, what happened? No, it's happening. We're going to see it very, very soon. And you're also going to see the FISA warrants released, the FISA documents, redacted, unredacted, I should say, and released. And that's going to take down a couple of several major players, but also a couple countries that are involved. England, Australia, and the United States, in very, very, very terrible acts that we will experience, we will see, but we will also have to rise above. Again, we're dealing with low level, low vibration stuff here just for the moment. Sun Tzu said, to know your enemy, you have to become your enemy. But we're only going to become our enemy just for a brief period of time, because we do not want to stay in that vibration. We want to go to that vibration very briefly, see what's there, understand as best we can why they would do such terrible things. Then we rise above that and we leave them down there. And they'll be gone soon. All these people who have committed these acts, these treasonous acts against us, the people that pay their salaries, the people that pay their benefits, that are overtaxed, overregulated. We will rise above all this. And it's happening. It's happening as we speak. And I'll get into more detail later. But I want to tell you, I want to share this with you because things like this, the beauty, our child, our children, our family, our friends, that's what's going to bring us joy. We're going to be in a much more joyous place when all this nonsense is done. And we're going to see that we can live in a much, much more beautiful world than we ever have before. I'm David Snedeker, and I love you. Thank you for listening and watching.